Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk, and welcome to Week 14 of the 2023 NFL season. That's right, we're getting close to the nitty-gritty. As we start seeing, the teams battling for playoff position, starting to battle each other, trying to get that separation. See those racing for those draft picks, see where they rack and stack overall. Start seeing which team is going to be the number one seed in the conference, and we've seen quite a few volleys happen. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and kind of do a quick synopsis of last week, shall we? Last week in a shortened season, actually ended up going 8-5. Not too bad. Definitely a couple of games did not go away I saw. To be honest, I didn't really spend a lot of time watching football this past weekend. I was too busy putting up Christmas decorations. But I did catch a few of those games, and let's go ahead and kick things off on last Thursday. We had the Seahawks going into Jerry's World to take on the Cowboys. Now I thought Dallas would win this one a little more easily. However, that was not the case. Seattle was actually leading majority of the game. They came to play. And Dallas had a hard time trying to come up with schemes to get ahead of Seattle. Seattle had ways to kind of counter the Cowboys' defense. And it was pretty much a shootout. But heading to that fourth quarter, that's when things went awry, and that's when the Cowboys actually showed up and started playing. Came back, scored 2 touchdowns in that fourth quarter, escaping the threat from the Seahawks, 41-35. This game right here kind of showcased the leadership ability of Dak Prescott and pushed him into the MVP conversation. There's no doubt about that one. And then we head into the Sunday's action, and we'll go over my first loss over there in Music City. Had the Colts going there in Tennessee. I figured Tennessee could find ways to sneak one out. And it made this a game. Unfortunately, in the second half, they kind of failed to show up. It was just they were leading like 17-13 at halftime. They took a 2-point conversion all the way back. They scored 2 points themselves. But the game went to overtime, and Gardner Minshew stepped up to his role, threw a game-winning touchdown, giving the Colts a 31-28 overtime victory, giving them 7 wins of the season, and puts them in the driver's seat almost for a playoff position. The Colts, I think no one had on their preseason pick to making the playoffs, but Indianapolis is starting to consider that. Now the game at Foxborough, knew this was going to be bad, and it was 6-0. Angels over the Red Sox. That's basically what this game was a baseball game. And it was ugly all around. But most had to do with the weather that affected this game, and it was just a pair of field goals in the second quarter. That was it. That was all the scoring that was needed, I guess. And we'll see if these teams can recover this week. Out in the Big Easy, the Lions jumped out to an early lead, but held on a late charge by the Saints as Derek Carr gets hurt. And they escape a comeback try, 33-28, to get their 9th win this season. We went out to MetLife, where we had the Jets and Falcons, and this was the one, Jets defense. Everyone knows how good the Jets defense is. Atlanta is just one of these teams you can't quite put your finger on them, but there's time frames they step to the plate. At times they kind of take 2 steps back. It's like which one was going to present itself. Boyle was the starter. Doesn't matter who's the quarterback for the Jets, it's going to be the same result. Zero offensive abilities. Once again, 0 touchdowns in offense. It's hard to win NFL games without scoring a touchdown. I don't think it doesn't matter who is quarterback for the Jets. Boyle, Wilson. I think even Aaron Rodgers won't be able to save this team. And that deals with the fact of that offensive line. And the Falcons went in and escaped with a 13-8 win. And I think the first shocker in the second game went at Canada as the OC in the Steel City. Arizona Cardinals came to town. I figured this was going to be an easy game for Pittsburgh. I figured Arizona will make it challenging for a bit, but I think after a while that the Steelers' defense would step up and take care of Kyler Murray. They did to a point, but they couldn't take care of Connor, who had 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Kenny Pickett ended up getting hurt during this game. And this changes the whole aspect of the Steelers. And trying to figure out how this team's going to move forward without, anything. The identity right now for the Steelers is kind of in the balance. They're still in the hunt for a playoff. They need 2 more wins to make sure that they have another winning season. And it's just, actually, 2 more wins. But I don't know. No one saw the Cardinals going in there and beating the Steelers 24-10. I definitely didn't. Lost number 2. Head to D.C. Tyreek Hill was just having a field day. Over 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think Marcus Spears said that Tyreek Hill should be in the conversation for MVP if it wasn't a quarterback award. I think we really need to start looking at other players besides quarterbacks for MVPs. And Tyreek Hill is a good example. Because it wasn't for a lot of his yardage and scoring ability, Miami won't be where they're at. But easy victory there. Then we had the H-down between Denver and Houston. This one, I think, was a pick'em game. And it came down to the wire. Like I thought it would. I thought these 2 teams will play each other tough. They're both battling, trying to get into that playoff race. They're both in there, but they're trying to get that last maybe 6, maybe 7 position. And it was just Russ was doing a 4th quarter drive, ended up turning that over, and that was it. Sealed the game for Houston, giving me loss number 3. And this one, I wasn't too disappointed with. Houston right now has a very, very good team. I think very shocking where the Texans are at, especially with the rookie quarterback. They got a diamond in that one. We'll see how Denver rebounds after this loss, and we'll just kind of see what happens with Houston moving on. They had the Tampa Bay with a bad game, I guess, in the NASCAR division between the Panthers and the Bucks. I figured the Buccaneers would have an easy time for them. The Panthers wasn't that easy. Tampa Bay had to hold on and survive the late charge by the Panthers during the contest. Mike Evans was able to get another 1,000-yard season, making it his 10th straight. And I think in a Hall of Fame career, I mean, that's one of those feats that you don't normally see. Especially look at the quarterbacks that have transferred through Tampa Bay. Handful of quarterbacks throwing the ball and still having 1,000-yard receiving years. That's a good aspect for Mike Evans. But for Tampa Bay to barely beat the Panthers doesn't give me a lot of hope for the Buccaneers moving forward. But it does give me hope for the Panthers. Maybe you can get another win or 2 towards the end of the season. Then we head down to L.A. where the Browns came to town to play the Rams, which is way too much for Cleveland on this one. Even though they lost, I think they lost Nakio on this game, got injured, but it's just one of these weird matchups. But this victory gave the Rams 3 straight wins, and continuing my wins. Then we have to Philadelphia, where we had the 49ers and Eagles go at it once again, a rematch from last year's playoff game, in which Brock Purdy, or an NCAA championship game where Brock Purdy got hurt, had to come back in, and he just wasn't the same thing, and Philadelphia was easy to win. And many people at that time frame said the game would be different if Purdy was playing. Purdy was playing. He was playing. Over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was just throwing the ball to pretty much anyone he wanted to. And it was not even close. 42-19. San Francisco has a team that looks like to be unstoppable. Unless you take out Deebo Samuel. Now, when they had those 3 straight losses, Deebo was out. You just remember that. I think if you take away a piece of that offensive cog, the 49ers struggle. But if they're all there, all well lubricated, moving, and in sync, this offensive juggernaut is hard to stop. But this was a game I saw that was coming. I called for the 49ers to win Philly. I didn't think it would be this one-sided, but this was my final win of last week. And let's go ahead and head up to Lambeau Field, where the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes made his debut. This one was marred by bad calls all around. Patrick Mahomes got hit in the sideline. He was in the field of play, and they called a late hit. Towards the end of the game, the Chiefs were driving. Patrick Mahomes made a deep ball throw. Green Bay jumped on the back of the receiver well before the pass got there. No call. There's a lot of no PI calls called in this game. They let the receivers and cornerbacks go at it. But sometimes you have to call it. If you got those little iffy ones, let them play. But it's like blatant. Jumping on the back of the receiver, I'm sorry, you call that. And I think that right there was the nail in the coffin for the Chiefs in this game. The Green Bay defense stepped up. Jordan Love, the Packers in drafting their quarterbacks have been superb. Jordan Love struggled in the beginning, which I knew he would, because he hasn't really been the starter. But now he is comfortable. His receivers are comfortable. This receiving core is young. The youngest in the league. Very good defense. A pair of decent running backs. Green Bay is starting to cook. Jordan Love had 3 touchdowns in this game. And he guided Green Bay to a 3rd straight victory. And they're starting to sniff a playoff appearance. If they keep this up, I think they will make the playoffs in Jordan Love's first year as a starter. Then we head down to Jacksonville for Monday night and the Battle of the Cats, and I thought this would really be one-sided. However, injuries played a huge factor in this game. Kirk, gone. Trevor Lawrence, looks like right now a severe sprain. He got stepped on, then he rolled on his own ankle. There was an offensive lineman that got hurt in that one for the Jaguars. The Jaguars kept losing players. I mean, I think they had a defensive back, receiver, offensive lineman, the quarterback. It was just a domino effect of injuries. And Browning was taking control of that. You saw Browning had over 350 yards passing, 0 interceptions. Probably better than Burrow would have done. Burrow probably had a couple picks by that time frame. Mixon was a good, steady running back. He didn't put up huge numbers, but he had enough to kind of generate the momentum needed. Find the end zone twice. Jamar Chase, almost 150 yards receiving. He also had a touchdown. It was enough of a factor that the game went into overtime. But the Bengals were able to get the possession the second time around, got down to field goal range, kick the game winner, wearing their white tiger stripe uniforms. So it looked like, Siberian tigers. But, that was my 5th loss, and there we go. That's how the game ended. Give me 8-5. So let's go ahead and look at next week's action. And looking at the game this upcoming Thursday, we have the Patriots visiting the Steel City. And I don't know who to go with on this one. I really don't. Because New England is in complete disarray offensively. They have no identity whatsoever. The defense will do its part. Steelers defense will do their part. But will Steelers offense do anything? They've been kind of lackluster in how they approach things as well. So it's for me, it's going to be difficult to kind of pinpoint which one is going to do that. Looks like Kenny Pickett's going to be able to play. So with that being said, I'm still going Pittsburgh. It's not going to be a pretty game whatsoever. And, it's, which defense you're going to believe in more. I kind of believe in, TJ Watt a little bit more than the Patriots. The Lions, Steelers by 6. It's going to be closer. I really think it's going to be closer. This is going to be, it's going to be a fugly game. But Steelers. We move on to Sunday. We have the Buccaneers visiting Atlanta. And, who do you trust more? You trust the Bucs or the Falcons? That's basically all it is. For me, I trust Hotland a little bit more. ESPN Analytics has Tampa Bay favored. Vegas has Atlanta favored by 2.5. I like that, so I'm going to Atlanta. Head up to the city where the Lions are coming to town for their second game. And look what happened a couple weeks ago when the Bears were in Detroit. The Bears were leading the Lions. It was like one bad play by Fields, and next thing you know, the Lions win the game. So you have that aspect, and you look at what they did against the Saints. They had to hold off a comeback from there in the game against Green Bay. Detroit looks vulnerable. Chicago won last week in Minnesota, which I didn't foresee, without scoring a touchdown. That's right. No touchdown scored in that Monday night game 2 weeks ago. My apologies. Didn't score a touchdown. Justin Fields was able to muster a game-winning drive. But with this game, everything points towards Detroit. And I understand why. And I don't know. I'm looking at what Chicago has done recently. They've been in games. Detroit has been winning these low-scoring, these narrow victories. And I think they're vulnerable. I may be going on a stretch here. I'm taking the Bears in the upset. Now, I may be a glutton for punishment, and that could be the case. But, like I said, the Bears have shown the ability to stay in games. They just can't seem to close it out. And I'm hoping they'll be able to do it this time around, kind of turn that leaf and maybe find ways to kind of propel them to the next level next season. And we're back out in the jungles of Cincinnati as Browning and the Bengals will play host to Minshew and the Colts. Who would have thought that was, your two quarterbacks going at it? Everyone's looking for Joe Burrow to take on Richardson. And that's not the case. Both are out. So, who do you go with? Right now, the Colts have just been great away from home. They've been running free, 5-1. The Bengals had a great win against Jacksonville, who is a great team, by the way. Very well-balanced team. Indianapolis, a well-balanced team. Can the Bengals utilize the weapons they have on their side? T. Higgins was available last week, so having that aspect, so you have Higgins and Jamar Chase, two very good receivers mixed in the backfield. Definitely helps out for Colts. Moss and Taylor, a nice dynamic duo. Minshew's been very consistent. You'll see if Browning can continue that way. Right now, Colts are favored by 1. So let's know. Pick 'em game. I'm staying home. I'm going with the Bengals and see how this one kind of transpire. We have the Jaguars taking on the other Ohio team in Cleveland and see what happens. The injuries are right now racking up on Jacksonville. And today has been a focal point for the Jaguars offense, and will continue to be that. Cleveland's they have issues right now. The receiving core. Jaguars have issues in the secondary, so that balance each other's out. Quarterbacks going, their backups. So, which defense are you going to take more? I go more Myles Garrett than to do the Jaguars. The Cleveland, it goes running back by committee, so I go more Jaguars running game with Etienne. It's a conundrum on who do you pick. The line right now is Cleveland by 3. With Trevor Lawrence, the way he landed and the way he acted after that getting stepped on and rolled on his own ankle, I don't know. Right now, I still listed as questionable. And that right there has me kind of worried a bit. Now for the Browns, Cooper and Goodwin are both questionable, so they could come back. And then for the Jaguars, the secondary, Campbell and Herndon are also questionable, so they also could come back. Who are you going to go with? I mean, this is a conundrum, and I'm taking Cleveland. I'm unsure about this one as well, much like I am with the Bears game. But I think the Bears game might just go for punishment. But with this Cleveland, I just believe their defense just a little bit more than I do Jacksonville's. Not by much, and that's the only reason why I'm going with the Browns. Now, Saints hosting the Panthers. Question marks for Derek Carr. Could go that way, but you have to still have Winston, Taysom Hill, so you still have a couple other viable quarterbacks there with the Saints. Carolina should put up a good showing right now. The Saints are favored by 5. I do think this will be another close game. I think Carolina is close to sniffing around, possibly making another win somewhere along the way. Right now, they haven't had a victory on the road. I think that will continue this week as well. I'm going with the Saints. The Texans will head over to MetLife to take on the Jets. So again, C.J. Stroud and this offense handle the Jets defense? And could the Jets actually have an offense show up? Um, who knows? This is one of these games I trying to figure out which one you want to go with. You want to go with C.J. Stroud and the story he is presenting himself. I still say he's in an MVP conversation. He's definitely Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think that's his award, hands down. But it's just this Jets offense. It's baffling, really. But the defense is going to be the key factor in here. Can Houston counter this defense? Houston does have a good way of playing teams, and I don't see anything different. I would not be surprised if the Jets pull this one out, though. I have a feeling the Mean Green are going to find ways to kind of find a way to make another win somewhere along the season. I wouldn't be surprised with this one, even though I am going with the Texans. They are favored by 5.5. I'm not pushing back on that either. And I'm just going to stick with my with C.J. Stroud and the Texans. We have the Baltimore, where the Ravens play host to the Rams. And let's see, Beckham, faces one of his old teams. Can the Ravens defense stop Stafford? Stafford has some decent numbers, but does throw a lot of picks. Naku could be out. He's a 1,000-yard receiver, but injury for him could really change the aspect of this Rams offense. I'll go more lines with the Ravens defense. I think Lamar Jackson should have a decent time against the Rams. And Baltimore's favored by 7. I like that. Ravens. Out to Vegas, where the Raiders play host to the Vikings. And for me, I think this is a pick-em game. I really do. Even though right now the line has it 3-2 Minnesota. Both these teams are on the outside looking in. They're right there at that front door trying to see if they can, jiggle the handle to get in. And I really do think they will go back and forth. Minnesota had a letdown against Chicago. That defense really shocked Minnesota on that aspect. Vegas seemed to find ways to make themselves relevant for a while. They did that in the first half against the Chiefs and just fell apart that second half. Both teams having that week off to kind of reflect on what happened in week 12 to see what they can do to fix their situations. And for me, I think Minnesota might do slightly better. But I would not be surprised if Vegas wins this one. But I will go with the Vikings. Battle NFC West between the Seahawks and the 49ers out there in Santa Clara. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. Right now, the way the 49ers are just rolling between Kittle, McCaffrey, Ayuk, Samuel, Purdy. Niners, they're favored by 10.5. I'm not going to push back on that one. Just the way they're playing right now. I think it's going to be a one-sided affair. Chiefs with another difficult home game. This time to take on the Buffalo Bills. Both teams kind of fell flat. I mean, Chiefs had that bad performance up there in Green Bay, and Buffalo had that letdown in Philadelphia 2 weeks ago, where Josh Allen played out of his mind. The defense just failed him. And for the Chiefs, their defense couldn't do anything against Jordan Love. And the communication between Mahomes and the receivers and the timing and all that is out of sync. But which quarterback is going to take the charge and lead the teams? Both of them like to run. Patrick Mahomes has a little more finesse, and Josh Allen's a little more of a bruising running back. like a linebacker running back interception almost. And I really think it's just which defense can really step up, which quarterback can really communicate with his receivers the best. And right now, Kansas City is favored by 2. I don't like going against Mahomes. I will in this case. I would say the Bills will find ways to outsmart the Chiefs. They really put in question about that, but you also got to think. I had the Bills winning the AFC this year, so I need to do something to get them in the playoffs. We have to L.A. where the Chargers play host to the Broncos, and for the Chargers, have bad performance offensively last week in Foxborough. Just highlights the issues right now with the Chargers. They just don't have. Wilson had a chance to win the game last week in Houston, threw the pick. Right now, the Chargers are favored by 3. I say Russ and the Broncos cook. They will beat the Chargers at SoFi. Denver. Sunday night, big game out there in Jerry's World as the Cowboys play host to the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the rematch of the last time these two fought, and where I thought Dallas was going to win in Philly, and didn't. But with question marks right now with the availability of Jalen Hurts for this game, way the Cowboys responded to the Seahawks last week and to come back from behind the way they played them in Philly. I think a lot of things are pointing towards Dallas. Dallas favored by 3.5. I think I like where Dallas is heading in this matchup. I do not think they're going to win the NFC East and knock off the Eagles, even though there hasn't been a repeat defending champ in like 20 years. Almost 19 years, so almost 20 years. But I kind of figured the Eagles and Cowboys were going to split their regular season matchups. And I thought they'll win on the other's home field. But right now, the question marks with Philadelphia, with Jalen Hurts, has got me kind of thinking maybe Dallas can actually get the edge on this one. We'll see how this one plays out. I'm uneasy with this pick, but I am going with the Cowboys to win this one and even up with the Eagles, and we'll see how the rest of the season goes from here. And then tonight, a double header. That's right, we'll have 2 games. So over on ESPN, we'll have the Titans heading over to the U.S. National Track and Field team of the Miami Dolphins. And that's exactly what's going to be. Tua Tagovailoa is going to have a field day. Tyreek Hill is going to continue to get more yardage. The way he's going, he get like 600 more yards, get 2,000 yards receiving. But Miami's favored by 13. I'm not going to push back that either. Miami. And then on ABC, we have the Packers heading to MetLife take on the Giants. And once again, another laughable performance. Jordan Love's just going to have a field day against the G-Men. Offensively, don't have anything going for them either, besides Saquon Barkley. And he will give the Packers some fits, but secondary-wise, quarterback-wise, I don't see anything coming from Big Blue. And I think Jordan Love's going to have another fine day at quarterback. More likely close to a 300-yard passing day with a pair of touchdowns. Green Bay's favored by 6.5. Go, Pack, go. I need to bathe myself after saving that one. Ugh. Almost. Yeah, exactly. My dog agrees. She was over here shaking her head like, why are you going there? But there you go. Those are my picks. Not quite full slate. 2 teams are actually off. Arizona, Washington. Last of the bye weeks, so this is the last 2 teams that finally get a week off. They kind of lick their wounds. They kind of game plan for the rest of the season. But Let me know down below what you think of my picks. I think majority of my picks are right in line with, I think, where everyone's kind of going overall. There's a few games I could see switch the other direction. I know one on them with the Chicago game. You get to every so often. Actually, I would not be surprised if Carolina pulls off an offset down New Orleans either. So, hey, let me know down below what you think. You made it this far, and you like what I do. You always hit that thumbs up. It really pleases the YouTube algorithms. Gets more people to see this lovely face. And you like what I say, you like what I hear, you like what I do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Over 9% of you guys are not subscribed. It doesn't cost you a dime. You hit that subscribe button, click that bell icon, turn on notifications. I'll let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And until then, I see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.